Blender for Noobs.
Hello, this is Dan Nobles and welcome to Blender for Noobs zombie tutorial. In part 4 of this tutorial, we're going to work on modifying the textures to look more like a zombie. So what we're going to do is we need to go into a graphics program. And I'm using Photoshop. You can use GIMP or whatever you're comfortable with. And I know some people are going to say, well, why aren't you using GIMP? It's a free program. I have used GIMP. I am familiar with it a little bit, but probably not enough to smoothly do this tutorial. So I apologize for that. I have been working in Photoshop a little bit more. I'm no expert in it either, but it's what I've been using. So I'm going to just start by we want to bring in the texture image for our character. So we want to bring that general image in. And right off the bat, this texture looks pretty scary already. If we do a Control plus, zoom in, and let's move around here. What we want to concentrate first on is the face. So you can see it right here. It looks kind of funny, but this is how the textures wrap around when you apply them to the UV mapping. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rename this first layer. I'm just going to call this background. And the reason is I'm going to keep this layer exactly as it is. I like to keep this just as it was, so any changes that I do, in case I screw up something, I can always go back. So I'm not going to change this background at all. And I'm going to go ahead and save this. And I'll just leave it in my textures file, but I'm going to save it as a Photoshop document. Okay, the first thing that I want to do is I want to make this pretty much a bald zombie. So I'm going to get rid of this hair, and in order to do that, I'm going to grab one of my selection tools here. And I think I just want this polygon type selection tool. And I'm just going to go around the entire head here and select it. Okay, so there's that selection, and I'm going to do a Control-C copy. And now I'm going to come over here and create a new layer. And I'll just call this one bald or something, just so I know which one it is. And paste on that. And change this so I can move this around a little bit. And what I want to do is I want to put this in the exact place, same place as the other one. Sometimes hard to do, but I think I got it there. Okay, so now we're going to get rid of this hair. And in order to do that, I'm going to use the clone tool. And I'm going to make this a little bit bigger to start out with. And I'm just going to Alt select in the area where there's some skin and just start cloning this area just to get rid of this hair here. Okay, and just so you don't have to watch me go through this entire thing to wipe out this hair, I'm just going to speed this up a little bit. So the nice thing with these graphics programs and working in layers, if you decided that, wait a minute, I think I wanted that hair, you just turn the layer off and then you have your hair. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to start working on the face and making this face look more like a zombie. The way that I'm going to do this is I'm going to get a picture of a zombie, and I'm going to use that as another layer and clone that image onto this textured image. And what you need to do, what I did is I went out on Google and I just did a search for some zombie images. But what you're looking for is you want to find one that is looking straight ahead, preferably not showing any teeth, because we're not showing any teeth in this image. Well, actually we are, but we're not going to be changing the using that picture to change the teeth. So you want it looking straight ahead, no teeth, pretty much a generic profile. And let me tell you, the best way to find zombie type pictures is to look at mugshots, because if you ever want to see real life zombies, that's pretty much where you're going to find them. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to create a new layer for the face changes, and I'm going to call this, let's just call it face 1, because I'm going to be doing different changes. And let me go get my mugshot that I pulled off the internet. And there it is, Mel Gibson. And I know I'm probably going to get some hate comments for this, but I couldn't resist. Okay, I'm just going to do a Control A to select all, and I'm going to do a Control C to copy, and come back to our base image here, and Control V to paste this in. Okay, and don't worry, I'm just using this as like a base image. It's not going to be the final image. So I'm going to select here, and I'm going to rotate this. Let me see if I can control rotate this. No, maybe it's shift rotate. Yeah, that's a little bit better. Okay, so I want it to kind of match what I'm doing here. And you also want it basically the size of the face here as well. So one way to do that, at least in Photoshop, and probably, well, I know there's a similar way to do it in GIMP. I'm just going to turn the opacity down, just basically so I can see both of the images. And we want to get the images, or we want to get our Mel Gibson image here the same size as the base image. So I'm going to shift and move this down, or size it down, so that it's matching our image here, or at least getting pretty close. So what we're looking at is we want to match up the eyes, and we want the lips to match up as much as possible. Okay, so that is pretty darn close, I think. Okay, so now I'm just going to turn the opacity back up, and I'm going to move this up here so that I can work with it. And I'm going to go back to my clone tool, grab that, and remember we are in this layer face 1, so we're not going to change our other layers here. And I think, yeah, this is probably, the size is okay. I'll put it down a little bit. And I'm going to start probably at the middle of the nose and just Alt-click right in the middle. And then come down here, and this is where I'm going to start painting. And by the way, if you don't want to use, don't want Mel Gibson's lawyers knocking on your door, you can use like one of those Dead Yourself or Zombify apps and use your own picture, and that might turn out pretty good too. But you want to make sure that you're on your face 1 layer, and I'm just going to click Alt, and I'm going to go to the nose area because that's going to kind of be our reference point, and click on that, come back over here, and just start painting in these details. Get some of those wrinkles in there. Okay, and that's pretty much all the details we want out of that picture. And I'm going to grab the eraser, and let's bump this down quite a bit, not that much. And I'm just going to get rid of some of this change in color here. We don't need any of these hard colors or the ears or the hair, anything like that. And we really don't want the mouth either. We want to keep that original texture in there or else it won't fit correctly. Okay, so once you got that, then we can also change the size of this eraser, make it really big. Go in here and just get rid of this image. Don't need that anymore. And come over to the opacity and drop that down, looking at the image over there, and basically it looks like the eyes are higher than what they need to be. So I need to change that. Go back to the clone tool and let me zoom in here, Control plus, so I can see what I'm doing. And I'm just going to Alt select this area here and see if I can bring all of this kind of down a little bit so it matches. Okay. And let's bring the opacity down a little bit more. Just enough so we can get some of these wrinkle features and this here. Okay, so that's that one. Now I'm going to make another new layer. I'll call this Face 2. And I brought in another zombie face. And this one I'm just going to Control A, select all, Control C, copy. Go back to our image here, and Control V, paste, and basically the same thing. Just gonna see if we can match this up. Shift, rotate, and let's turn the opacity down. So really what I'm doing is kind of making a montage of these different images. This one I wanted to use to get more of the blood features and things like that off of it. So shift, size this down. Turn that down a little bit more so I can see if it's matching up. And really for this one I want to use mostly the blood around the mouth, so just want to make sure that's matching up. It's kind of hard to see here. Okay, that's pretty close, I think. So, just move this up out of the way. And same thing, I'm just going to grab apply that, grab the clone tool, and I think I'm just going to go around this chin area first. Just get some of this grody blood stuff here. Some of this skin deformation. I have this dude all messed up. And it'd be nice even to grab some of this probably. And even some on the neck. Hopefully that'll map out correctly. Okay, and grab the eraser, get rid of our reference image, and start knocking the opacity down. Something like that. Okay. Next thing I did is I got some eye images off of Google image search. I just searched for like zombie eyes. So I'm going to make a new layer. Call this eyes. Go grab my zombie eyes reference picture. Copy that. And paste it in here. Unfortunately, this image isn't very big, but hopefully it will work okay for what I need it to do. And same thing, I'm going to use the clone tool, and actually I do need this to match the size. Make sure I get the correct eye size here. Okay, that should be pretty close. But go back to the clone tool. Go right into pupil there and alt select that. Come in here. Just fill this in a little bit. Same thing with this one. This one's a little bit different looking, so I'm just going to use this one as well. And just get rid of the reference image again. Okay, the next thing I want to work on is the teeth, because they're way too white for a zombie. So I'm going to make another new layer and call this teeth. And I'm just going to come over here and make a green color. Make these teeth kind of green. Oh, need my paintbrush. And maybe even some yellow. And go to our opacity and turn that down. And maybe even, let's go back to the green and let's make this kind of darker green. Alright, and the next thing I want to do is basically make this the whole body kind of more grayish, like the skin has been decomposing or something, so or the body's been decomposing. So I'm going to make another layer and just call this, I don't know, skin. And I'm going to change this color to, well, just use this one and I'll just make it like a dark gray. And grab my paint bucket and just fill it up. And again with the opacity, move it down quite a bit, but not too much. Okay, and we do not want the skin to affect the teeth or the eyes, so we can move this down here, which looks funny, but I actually don't want it to affect this part of the eye either, so let's grab the eraser and just erase some of that skin there. And what else? Okay, something I forgot. Let's make another layer. Call this face 3. Again, grab the paintbrush and let's make this black, and Control plus to zoom in. Come over here to the face, and let's make this smaller, and make sure you have like a smooth type of paintbrush. And I'm just going to add some darkness under the eyes here, which does a pretty good job of making zombie look pretty ominous, scary. And go ahead and turn the opacity down on that. Something like that. And I think I'm not really liking this gray layer. It's not looking quite right. So let me turn this off for a second. And let's go back to our background. And let's see if I can add an adjustment to change the color of this here. I'm going to go into Hue, Saturation, just drop this down. I'm going to have to do the same thing with the face. Yeah, almost like a black and white, but not quite. And like I said, I never changed the background, but this is sort of like an addition. You can turn that off as well, which is nice. And let me see if I can copy this layer. Nope, guess not. So I'll just go to the bald head, do the same thing. Oops, saturation. So it hopefully matches. There we go. Teeth look quite green. Might actually saturate them also a little bit because they're going to look way too bright, I think. Just a little bit. Still want some green and yellow showing in there. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and save this. And then what we want to do is save as. And in the textures, we're going to keep the PNG format, but we're going to change the name to zombie and save it. Okay, and while I'm in Photoshop, you may remember that I wanted to make the shirt kind of flannel, plaid flannel. So here's the texture for the shirt, and I'm going to go open a texture that I found for a flannel shirt. Okay, and I'm just going to use the selection tool to quickly select this. Control C to copy, go back to our shirt texture and do a new layer. Just going to call this flannel and paste our flannel shirt in here, and I'm just going to move it. I can't move it too far, can I? And one thing I need to do is size it down a little bit to kind of fit the texture. And I'm going to kind of cheat here. I'm going to just clone this material. because it's not fitting this texture exactly, it probably won't look too good, but basically I just want to try to get this flannel texture on here. So I'll start with where the pocket might be. Start putting that in there. Grab the color. Oops. And definitely gonna cheat on the arms. Just recloning that, what I just cloned in there. Basically, you just want to cover the texture that's there, just to make sure it's all in there. And go ahead and erase the reference image. And we want to do a save as and save as a PNG also. And I'm just going to call this modified. Okay, so now we can go back to Blender and see if any of this paid off. So back in Blender, what we need to do is select the body and go back to our materials, go back to the zombie skin, and we want to change this to our modified zombie skin. So we're going to open the texture that we created, which was zombie PNG. And same thing with the mouth. Change that, open zombie. And the eye, same thing. I can pull it down here. That's the zombie eye. And the eyebrows. Just using all of this on our new texture. Okay, and then we change the shirt as well. So need to update that to the shirt texture modified. Okay, go ahead and save that. And let's see what the zombie looks like. So not bad, looking more like a zombie. Although we can do more work with the face. The shirt didn't turn out too bad. It took more time and got the textures correct, it would look better, but that's okay. So that's the end of part 4. In part 5, what we're going to be doing is I'm just going to fix these jeans a little bit and do a final pose and do a little bit of compositing, and that'll finish up the zombie tutorial. Please comment, subscribe, and thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next video.